Hello everybody! Here we are, the last day of Vlogtober. I cannot believe it, day 31. We're not quite done yet, so let's get on with this last day of vlogging. It's the last day of Vlogtober, and I just wanted to take this time to thank all of you for as little or as much as you watch, for your likes, for your comments, your kind words, your encouragement, your support, and also for your words of wisdom. I greatly appreciate it. You know, I did Vlogust and Vlogtober, and I think for me, I set out to do a vlogging month for 31 days, and I think for me it was just really proving to myself about balancing everything in life, taking care of everything that needed to be taken care of, and then having my own little thing here with YouTube and all of that. And I think, you know, when I started doing Vlogtober, I think I had a 5 or 6 day break from when I was filming to when I was posting, and now it's Wednesday and you will be watching this on Friday, so happy Halloween. Here we are, the end of the month. I can't believe it. And I think it was just a really well balanced month for myself personally, and then also doing YouTube. And then I have my upload schedule and everything kind of planned for November, and then 25 days of Vlogmas, and then, you know, it'll be a new year, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I also had a little bit of self-care today. I am so glad. I got a haircut, like just cleaned up the ends and everything. It feels amazing, and I do like having my hair longer because I like to wear it up, and I'm trying to figure out a really good hair routine for washing it. I want to start doing it at night because I find like I can have a little bit more room where I can kind of let it air dry a little bit and then finish it off and do kind of like a good blowout. And then hopefully it'll last for, you know, a day or two, and then we'll kind of go from there. I had a certain routine for the summer that I let it kind of air dry, but obviously we are getting some frosty temperatures and my hair needs to be dry. So if you have any tips for washing your hair at night, I think it's just making sure that it's fully dry before I go to bed, and then waking up and just being able to put a comb through it, maybe the straightener, and go from there. So I'll keep you updated if I figure it out, but that's what we're trying to do. But I always feel great after a fresh hair. So it is Wednesday. What I did this morning was I went through all of the flyers, just kind of made some little notes, and I'm just going to kind of update my meal plan. And then I had some things to take care of this morning, and I just didn't know what to make for dinner tonight. I want to keep it really simple. I want something that everybody's going to like. I don't really need or want leftovers, and I want to use some things that I have, but also have a little bit of freshness to it. So let's go take a little look at my meal plan that I made, and then what the sales are, and we're gonna talk about the price of beef. So Wednesday, I kind of call this my food organization day. So I do have a 4-part food organization linked down below. It kind of gives you the overview of my freezers, my fridge, my pantries, how I do my freezer inventory. I pretty much try and keep track of meat and, you know, anything that I make that's homemade. And then I do keep a couple of pantry staples just to kind of have an idea, and then recipes. And then I just keep it in this file folder. And then during Vlogust in August, I kind of shared with you how I reorganized a few little things, and I've been very happy with it. So earlier this week, I shared with you how I kind of do a little bit of a brain dump. So I do know that I'm looking for beef, some roast, stew, and then I have pork chops. I have pork tenderloin, I have all sorts of sausages, but I would like a pork loin roast, so I'm keeping an eye out for that too. And then I just have some simple, easy meals that I can make very quickly, some things that I want to make, and then have extras for the freezer, and then just some simple potato, vegetable, meat dinners, and then also a Brenner, you know, having things that are homemade, like the pancakes and the beans, but then also buying sausage when it's on sale. So since today is Wednesday, what I do is I get my phone and I open up the Flip app, and I usually focus on food basics and Walmart because that's usually where I do most of my shopping. But I was also looking at the other stores since I was looking for beef and produce this week. So No Frills caught my eye. A lot of the stuff, I think it's a good price. I'm going to get it. And then I saw stew beef, $11.80 a pound. And I'm like, wow, that seems like a lot. Also, broth is $1.50. And I've been using a lot of that. So I'm just going to check what I have and then replace what I have room for, and then I'm good to go. And then I saw at Metro that inside round was $6.88 a pound, the roast. And in my opinion, I find this as a lower quality meat. It is good for like a pot roast, something that you're going to cook low and slow. It does become really tender. And I do find stew beef too, like you have to cook it low and slow because it can be a little bit tough if you cook it quickly. And I'm thinking, well, $6.88 a pound, I can take that and cut up my own beef stew compared to the $11.80, so that's like $5 difference. But then when I looked at Food Basics, they had the sirloin tip roast on for the exact same price as the inside round. And in my opinion, this is a much higher quality cut of meat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and get a couple of roasts and then cut it down to what I want it for. So, you know, what size, I can do it for stew beef, you know, even have smaller little pieces to make like a beef vegetable soup, like just trying to think ahead a little bit. Now, $6.88 a pound, I think that's a decent price. I don't know if it's going to be the rock bottom price, but at this time, I need some beef. And compared to $11.80 a pound, that is definitely worth picking up a few roasts. And then the Macintosh apples are on for 68 cents a pound. Perfect time to do a little bit of baking, make an apple crisp, and of course you need ice cream to go along with that, so that is on sale too. So I'm good to go kind of like for my basics and all of that. And then I'm thinking like next week I'll probably do a Walmart pickup order because I'm going to need milk, orange juice, eggs, yogurt, all of those items, and I just find getting them at Walmart is the best price. So I just wanted to share it with you. You know, I'm trying to have fresh fruits and vegetables, having some meat in the freezer, and then having some of those staples in the pantry. So pay attention to the prices and try and make your dollar stretch, save when you can, and spend a little bit more when you think it's important to have the quality. So anyways, just a couple of tips that I'm trying to do to stretch the dollar and make sure I have a variety of meat in my freezer and then all of the other staples that I need to get dinner on the table. I really wish I would have made more pumpkin recipes this month, and I had planned on making some sprinkle cookies for Halloween, but I'm not really in the mood to make cookies, and I have also been wanting to make these cupcakes all month, so I'm going to make them today. It's just a spice mix, and I'm not a lover of baking, but I do enjoy watching all of the baking shows, like all of the seasonal ones. And lots of times I will get inspiration from the flavors, whether it be a cake or a pie or tarts or cookies. And it kind of inspires me to get in and bake something. But I was really disappointed in the shows this year because I found they were more Halloween based compared to the baking. Like it really wasn't focused on the flavors and the ingredients. I found it was more on the themes and the Halloween and the ghouly, and you know, they were kind of messy and not what they usually are. So I was a little bit disappointed with that, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm really looking forward to the Holiday Baking Championship. I really like that. I think Jesse Palmer is the host. He's also Canadian. I know he was a football player, but I really like the layout that they do for that one. And I really hope that the Holiday Baking Championship is back to the way they usually do it every year. I also just wanted to update a little bit because I did finish the Halloween coloring book. So many years ago, it was over Christmas, Megan Miles Art had this new coloring book. I had never seen anything like it before. And every time a video would kind of pop up in my algorithm, I would just watch it. And I found it was so calming, so relaxing. You know, I talked about that. I always try to do adult coloring, and it's something that like she talks about too, how it was never enjoyable, that it was all like fine little details and everything. And then having these simpler ones was kind of relaxing, and a lot of people enjoy coloring. So I got the book, I enjoyed it. I tried the expensive markers that she uses and a lot of other people used. And then, you know, I figured some things out, and then, you know, I was ready to share it with all of you. And I never wanted to intend that you needed to buy this. It was something that you needed to do, or you needed all the expensive markers. Like I tried to give you tips, you know, the free printables, start off with a small package, see if you like it. And, you know, every month I look forward to this. It's a simple little page, but getting it emailed, sometimes I do it all at once. Sometimes I'll do a little bit here and there. And I started this book last year, and I was really glad to get it finished this year. And I just enjoyed the simplicity of it. I think for me, it's just a time to kind of slow my mind down, just to kind of tune everything out. And I do find it relaxes me. And then I really wanted to try doing different coloring. So, you know, I've gotten a couple of other books, and This is one of the first ones I shared with you, like the scene. I wanted to learn how to do like blending and stuff. And when I look at this, like I did really enjoy it doing it, and then I did another one. But I did find it was a little bit more stressful, like trying to, you know, make it look perfect and all of the coloring and everything. And then I was looking on social media the other night and I was kind of reading a couple of questions, and somebody said, is it starting to decline? And somebody said yes, because there's a big expectation that it's supposed to be beautiful, and people are trying to sell their coloring books and affiliate links and everything for all of the stuff that they use, and having it look perfect. And in my opinion, like if you're gonna have a hobby, you're doing it for your enjoyment. And you know, some people like spending 10-12 hours coloring one page. Like, I don't want to do that. I like the simplicity of coloring it. It's complete, you move kind of on, and then, you know, trying a couple of different ones. Like, you know, I do like that balance of it. So I'm going to take a little bit of a look and think ahead a little bit for Christmas, but I just wanted to share that with you because I know some of you have been interested in it. And I just, you know, if it's something that you enjoy, do it, but also there's no expectation. And then sometimes, you know, it's time not to look at different things on social media because like that expectation and perfection and everything, like that's what's changing, and that's why I still hang on to the vlogging months. It's the old school way of doing YouTube, and I still really enjoy it. But anyways, I just wanted to share a little bit of the reality of a hobby that I enjoy. This was the day before I watched the finale of Only Murders in the Building. I love how they bring everything together to solve the crime, and then they set it up for next season. And I also realized this month that I really like murder mystery movies, and it sets me up to go back and look for all of these classic movies, and it doesn't necessarily need to be in the autumn season. So I'm excited that there is some things that I can look forward to whenever I have time to watch a movie. I am making a cream cheese frosting, and I should have used the whisk attachment. I found the paddle really had it to the side of the bowl and it stuck there. But the cupcakes turned out really good. I was surprised with how flat they were. There's a couple of them that are a little bit misshapen, but that's okay. Now, this is a frosting recipe for spreadable cream cheese, and it's also a smaller batch. It says for 12 cupcakes, and it calls for 1.5 cups of icing sugar, sifted. And the other recipes that I was looking at, they called for a brick of cream cheese and like 4 cups of icing sugar, and I didn't want that much. So this is the butter and then the icing sugar, and I'm using the pumpkin cream cheese. That's really what I wanted to do. I thought I could use more of it, but because it's spreadable, you definitely need to be careful because it will run off your cupcakes. But honestly, I think if you put it in the fridge and then frosted with it, it might be okay because you are getting it a little bit thicker with the icing sugar, and then you just add in a little bit of vanilla, and then I'm just going to whisk this up, and then I'm going to put it into a Ziploc bag, and then I'm just going to use that to do the cupcakes. I don't enjoy baking. I left this to the last minute, and then the butter was kind of stuck and I didn't realize how bad it was. But I'm determined to finish it off, and it started off going good, and then as I was doing it, there was like a chunk of butter kind of got caught in the bag, and then I got a little bit frustrated and it was sticking and all of that. So this happens, and honestly, if I was on a baking championship, I would be the first one off because there's no way that I would be able to do it. I don't handle stress or trying to make everything look perfect. Like, I find with cooking, like, you can be nice and low and slow and add this and saute this. And I don't know, I really enjoy cooking. It relaxes me. I enjoy the finished product. But baking, it's more of a science, and I never did good in science class. So that's probably why I'm more of a cook than I am a baker. Some of them look really good, and I think if I would have whipped the butter better, it would have turned out, but it's going to be okay. I'm just taking a knife to fix a couple of them, and then I have the Halloween sprinkles I bought earlier in the month, thinking that I was going to make the sprinkle cookies, but I did want to put a few of them on here just for the sake of Halloween. And, you know, I think with social media, people will share like their perfect baking and how to do all of this, and a lot of home bakers will share like what they make. But I always love like those Pinterest fails, or when people show like what something is supposed to look like and then what it ends up looking like it's so relatable. And it's the same with the baking championship. Like, there's times when people have bad days, but these are going to be good. They're going to be delicious. Everybody is going to enjoy them. And I did bake something for Halloween, and I have some potatoes in the air fryer. I just did fries, didn't use that seasoning. And then I did get these haddock fillets on sale, and I'm very glad to have them tonight. I just put them in the air fryer, so I had some frozen peas too. There's the fish. Andrew likes fish now. I think that's absolutely amazing. So it was a quick, easy dinner to pull together, and then we had dessert. I was getting ready to clean everything up, so I put some music on, and then I lit my candle. The first couple of nights I really enjoyed this and smelling the marshmallow fireside, but I felt as the month went on, I was kind of uneasy with the candle burning, and I think next year I'm going to get one of those battery operated candles to work in there, just so I'm not worrying about leaving the candle and all of that, because I like it to burn for a certain amount. And then we did get the Ravensburger puzzle finished. I had been looking for this for years. Got it at the thrift store for $3. And all of the pieces were there, and it was a beautiful puzzle, from the pumpkins to the skulls to all of the little details. And I think finding it in the thrift store for a really great price was even more rewarding, and I'm looking forward to doing this hopefully every year. Maybe we'll skip a year or two, but I was looking for this, and it's always so much fun whenever you find something from your wish list. So all year I've been, sharing a little bit each month of trying to put the pieces together, setting goals and trying to get things accomplished from the way things kind of were like before the pandemic and all of the different changes in life. And I've shared some of the struggles with all of you. And I think the biggest thing for October was I took a different approach. I wanted to enjoy the month, slow down, enjoy the little things, go for walks, bake, cook, organize, go overboard with everything autumn, creating yearly lists or movies and that to watch, cozy up the deck, thrift for cardigans, look for Halloween decor, and just enjoy the month and do 31 days of Vlogtober. And this is a little recap of the month, and I enjoyed it so much. And I think one of the reasons why I do love vlogging months and giving a little peek into my life is because I get to slow down and see it through a different angle by filming and editing it. I slow down and kind of, just enjoy watching a movie, tucking the boys in, getting my nails done, slowing down and seeing the beauty of the season, and then trying some new recipes, getting some new staples for my autumn wardrobe. It was really an exciting month, and I think I took a lot away from this month. I think the older we get, we realize how life can change so quickly. Time goes by so fast. And the one thing I did find about October was that it didn't fly by as much as the other months have. And I think part of it was I tried to do something every day that made me relax, that made me enjoy my favorite month of the year. It was the month I was born. It was the month I became a mom. And here I am at 51 years of age, and I didn't even realize how much the Peanuts gang and Charlie and Snoopy and Linus, Hunter, how all of these years later that this was all going to be something that I still enjoy and look forward to. Having a couple of little day trips, and my husband knowing that, me separating and looking at things differently was exactly what I needed. And it was just such a beautiful month. Our Thanksgiving was a little bit different, but on a personal level, I think it was the last little bit of healing that I needed to do for grief and loss and, the changing of everything in life. And as I reflect back, it was such a beautiful month. I enjoyed more than I ever have. And I was still able to deal with some of the challenges, some of the struggles in life, but I didn't let it get me down like I did in the past with depression and anxiety. And then to find this little enchanted woods and to see words of encouragement and the kindness of people and realizing how much this can mean to somebody was exactly what I needed on this Thanksgiving weekend. And it was just a gift that, was given to me, and I enjoyed it. And, looking at little things in the store and doing a little bit of baking, that's all part of the season. And I'm really glad that I was able to slow down and enjoy a lot of it. And I'm also really glad that I was able to slow down and share some of it with all of you. Hunter, there's some things going on, and we're just taking it day by day, hoping, we can have as much time with him as we can. And then, going and seeing a pioneer village and how people used to live and how simple things were back then. And then the way things are now, what is the perfect balance, and then going thrifting and finding somebody else's treasure that I'm going to enjoy from year to year was just something that really meant a lot to me, and I'm glad that I was able to share this with all of you. But I do think for the month of October in 2025, I really feel like this was the month where all of the pieces came together and I was able to enjoy it. So thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I am so glad that I live in a world where there are Octobers, and I'm really glad that I was able to enjoy all 31 days of this month.